like what they thought of President Hoover.
Well, honey, there wasn't a
FDR,
lot of work
WT.
in those days.
Well, yeah, I know that.
There wasn't a lot of work. And then when Roosevelt got in, they started the WPA, and that brought a lot of people back because they were really poor, and there just wasn't any work. There just wasn't no work, honey. And you know, our brewery was closed. You know, beer came back, and that started a lot of jobs and work, you know. And well, we had what they call the WPA, and what they would do, they would hire a lot of people, you know, through the WPA.
Yeah, I know. But
People that never had any work, and they would do a lot of government work and like clean the streets and do road work and they did a lot, you know. They worked hard, but they didn't make a lot of money. But compared to how poor everybody was, it was good, you know. So.
you talk, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, did the Great Depression affect you guys really badly?
Yes, it affected everybody. I was very fortunate that my father worked. He only worked 6 months out of the year. That's all he worked. He worked at a cement plant, you know, that where you sold cement. You know, they sold cement and made things. Well, they weren't making or building too many things, so my dad only worked like 6 months out of the year, and which was in the summer. They couldn't work in the winter because the cement would freeze. You know, they had to put water and stuff in it, you know.
Okay.
And so that's what he did. He worked in the cement plant. And I remember when I was a girl, there used to be men that would knock on your back door and ask for a sandwich or something to eat.
Ooh, they actually. Oh, that's
They
cool. Okay.
actually did that. Yes, they did. We had 2 or 3 people that came every week. Different people, of course, but I mean, there was always someone begging. And people went through garbage cans. They were so hungry. They went through garbage cans. And all the banks, you know, the banks all closed, you know.
Yeah, I heard it. Yeah, and people lost all their money and stuff like that, and we didn't get any money back.
And I'll tell you something else. The only bank that really was left open was Southern Commercial Bank down on South Broadway, and another bank on Gravois. All the other banks in the city were closed. Just the 2 banks.
Okay, I'll write that down.
Mm-hmm. And Southwest, I couldn't think of the name of it. Southwest Bank. Southern Commercial and Southwest Bank were the only 2 banks that were open anywhere in South St. Louis or any part of South St. Louis. South County, South St. Louis, out in the west, those were the only 2 banks, and they were both south.
Dang.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I know that a lot of people didn't like President Hoover, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So did your parents like President Hoover? Or did
Well, nobody liked President Hoover, honey, because it was a depression. And nobody was making any money under him. And see, the city first came to life when the WPA came in. Then that put people back to work a little bit, you know.
So.
But, oh honey, people were walking the streets. They had no homes.
Because
They hadn't food. They never had food.
Yeah, okay. I know that some people like try to make work by selling like their stuff, like rings and stuff like that.
Honey, I don't know of anybody that had too many rings during the Depression.
Well, I meant by like, they did. Like, some people that were that desperate.
Well, there were a lot of people that were desperate, honey, and they sold, I guess, whatever they could to get money. But there was an awful lot of people, awful lot of suicides that took their lives during the Depression, honey. They were so despondent.
I haven't heard about the suicides in the books
Yeah,
yet.
huh?
Books. Because it's my research report.
And you don't have that in there?
No,
About
they didn't
the
talk about
suicide?
this. They didn't talk about suicides.
Well, they did, honey. There was a lot of suicide.
Do you have any friends back then that actually did suicide?
No.
Okay, that's good. What did you do for school?
What did I do for school?
Yeah.
Honey, I was very fortunate. Like I said, my father worked and then my mother worked. And she worked in a hat company. Men used to work, make hats. And she worked 12 hours a day for 7.5 a week.
Let me read thoughts.
Now, when you talk to your teacher, you tell your teacher that I lived through all of that stuff.
I can do that.
I know this, the stuff that I'm telling you is what I know from fact.
That's because you lived through it. How old were you when?
Oh, honey, I was born in 1920, so I'm 88 years old. And that was when I was a little girl,
Like,
10, 12.
didn't like the Great Depression like last until like before the? You were alive during the World War II.
Oh, sure, I went all through World War II, right?
Oh wow! And it ended like in the beginning of World War II. Didn't it like somewhere like before?
Oh, honey, it ended really before World War II. I mean, the Great Depression did start after Roosevelt got in, honey, and the WPA started. Then people started working, and things gradually were getting better all along, you know. And it was a slow process, but it eventually improved a lot, and people, you know, started back. It took years to come back. It didn't come back just like that, you know.
Oh yeah.
But at least, you know, people were eating, and suicides and stuff were down. You know, people were getting more or less on the right track.
What
you
about
know.
the farms? Like, what happened to the farms? Did people finally get back to the farms?
Honey, there was so many people that had gardens. My father always had a garden in his yard. And most people had a garden.
Oh, okay, then I'll put that down.
Yeah, they had a garden. And a lot of, honey, there was so many people that had chickens in their yards. They built little cages, you know, and they had chickens, and they would get their eggs. I mean, it wasn't just farmers, it was, a lot of people did that to survive.
Oh yeah, I know that, but
Uh-huh.
I'm just wondering what happened to the farmers. Like, I know the Dust Bowl happened and all that.
Yeah.
Like, did they go back to the where they lived after the Dust Bowl, or did they?
Oh, yeah.
So
Oh,
they
yeah.
did go
They
back.
did go back, yeah.
Okay then, that would make sense.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the Dust Bowl lasted how many years?
I really don't know just how long the Dust Bowl did last. I don't think it lasted too long.
Just lasted a little while.
I think so. I don't think it lasted too long, if my memory serves me. Really.
Actually, you have really good memory.
I do for my age, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, my teachers are gonna be surprised.
Yeah, that's right.
We should meet them. That'd be fun. During class. We should talk about it. Yeah, that's a good idea. Sorry.
Well, you just tell them how old your grandma is, and
Well, My grandma is 6. How old is grandma? 60 something. 69 maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know how old she is. She
Well,
never says how old she is. She just.
see, I'm 20 years older.
Oh yeah.
It's quite a bit.
Oh yeah, that is.
She probably doesn't even remember the Depression.
She told me she doesn't.
That's right. That's right.
She was born in 1936.
Yeah.
Yeah, she wouldn't remember.
No. No.
Remember. Now Dad's back.
Well, honey, the Depression was very bad for everybody, you know, during the Depression. But you know, there weren't so many people like there are today, honey. You know, there's a lot more people today than there were during the Depression. You know, like Grandpa and Grandma, they both came from Spain. And, you know, when Grandpa came here, he came over on a boat and he landed in Cuba. And he was 14 years old. His father gave him money to come over here. He was only 14 years old. And he lived in Cuba. And when he first got here, he slept on a bench till he got work. Mm-hmm. Yeah, those people that made this country, honey, that started this country and built it, were all of your Europeans and everything that came over here, and they're the ones that worked and brought a lot of knowledge with them. A lot of farmers came over. A lot of everything came over, honey, in those days, where you'd be surprised at what they taught the Americans, you know. Some of the best winemakers and farmers and everything came over during those years.
As he nods.
And something else, honey, do you know there was very few cars?
Oh,
People
yeah,
didn't
yeah.
own cars. They went on buses and streetcars. We had streetcars. Rails in the city. Every city street had rails going down the center of the street. We had streetcars.
Huh. Did some people walk?
Everybody walked, honey. Very few people had cars.
Huh. Not like now. Now we.
No.
Everyone has
You
cars
had
now.
to walk. You could walk to the corners and get on your. There was bus stops and streetcar stops. There was mostly streetcars.
Huh. Okay, I remember.
Mm-hmm. Now, I don't mean every street. I mean every thoroughfare. Every main thoroughfare had. Down Grand Avenue, you could go from Grand Avenue, South Grand Avenue, down there where we used to live. You can get the bus and go down to South Grand and go all the way downtown. You could get on the Broadway bus, Broadway streetcar, and just go all the way downtown and up into North St. Louis on a streetcar. Well, see, Mom and Papa never had a car. Walked to school every morning. I walked about
Fun.
6 blocks every morning to school. Mm-hmm.
That'd be fun. That actually would be
Everybody
fun.
walked, honey.
I wish
When you'd be walking down the street, you'd
Then there was no global warming back then either.
know. See, you get advancements, but you also get stuff you don't like with it, you know. Good and bad.
Hey, how did you heat it?
With coal, honey.
Coal.
We had coal furnaces.
What did you guys do during the summer?
We went to the park and slept. We keep cool. We had Groundlet Park, which was, we used to go there and sleep when it got too hot in the house. The only thing we had was fans. No such thing as air conditioning.
That must have been kind of fun in a way.
Oh man.
Well, you never knew you were having a bad time because everybody did it, you know. Yeah, when you got to the park, well, there was a lot of people in there. Yeah.
You had friends? And
Yeah,
other
they'd bring a
families?
blanket and throw it down on the ground. Nobody bothered you.
For instance, gas back then only cost like 5 cents. Now it costs dollars.
Yeah. Did you ever see the sign I have in the kitchen?
What sign?
The grocery store sign there?
Grocery store sign. I'm gonna go see that. Grocery store sign. Okay, yeah, you guys had the radio, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, we had radio.
Radio. Like, what kind of shows were? Like, what kind of
Honey,
movie
you
shows?
walked to the shows. They had shows.
They had shows?
Movies, yeah.
Oh,
We had movies.
you guys walked?
Oh,
movie
absolutely.
theaters?
You had to walk to the show.
Walk.
Uh-huh.
Movie theaters, right?
What kind of theaters?
Movie theaters?
Movies, sure. We used to have every Saturday and Sunday afternoon they had movies for the kids on every Saturday and Sunday. Kids could go to the show. I forget what we paid. It was very little, maybe a dime. Kids would go every week to follow their cereal. Well, you got to remember you walked everywhere you went. And
What did you do during, like, what kind of stuff did you do? Like,
well, you know, we used to roller skate on the street. They'd close the streets off, and we'd roller skate in the streets. They closed the side street off. When the kids got home from school, those side streets were closed from like 3 to 5. They gave you 2 hours to skate on that street.
Did they really?
Uh-huh. Nagel Avenue, I remember that. It was always closed. Robert Avenue, they closed for sleigh riding because the street was kind of sloped.
that's cool.
They did that from 3 to 5. But most people went over to the park with their sleds. They went to Crownlet Park and sleigh rided on the hills. And of course there was always the Y if you had money. And we had playgrounds in every school. Every school had playgrounds. The kids could go there every day during the summer, and they had all kinds of things they taught you at the playgrounds. A lot of them had pools, and that's what kids would do. They would walk there every day and playgrounds.
Was it for free or?
It was free. And we played basketball and in-ball, and what else did we play? Volleyball. Volleyball was big, and we had races.
Races.
We had a lot of races, and of course then we had the pools, you know. Swimming pools.
To go swimming during the summer. It's
Uh-huh.
really hot.
Yeah.
Okay, did you try to like make money by like doing anything?
No.
You didn't try to
No.
do that? Okay.
Nobody had any money, or you couldn't sell nothing if you wanted to. And I'll tell you another thing that a lot of kids did. They went to the library a lot. You know, they always went to the library, and they looked up things for their school and stuff, you know, if they had homework. And that's what they did. They went to the library and used a lot of reference, and that's how they got along years ago. That's how they learned.
Wow.
I went to school, Catholic school.
Oh, you went to Catholic school?
Every morning I had to be there at 8 o'clock. And we went to Mass every morning,
Oh, that's been fun.
5 days a week, every morning.
They don't do that
And
anymore.
Sunday afternoon at 2 o'clock, you had to be there for afternoon service. Every day. And every Sunday.
Seriously? Wow. They don't do that anymore now.
No.
I don't know why, but they
We
don't.
have mass every day. You want to go?
Every morning we had
We
Mass.
We go to Mass every Sunday now, Dad.
Yeah. Well, we can go every day. You want to do it for a week? I'll do it with you.
Oh my God. Every morning?
The morning, why don't we do it once in the morning? You'll be surprised. The morning mass is so fast. You'll think it was over before it started.
Half hour, it was like a half hour.
They don't have as many prayers in the morning and during
No.
the week.
And every school had their choirs. They had children's choirs in every school.
And what
Okay.
language was the mass
Catholic
in?
school I'm talking about.
What language
Huh?
is that?
What language was the mass?
What language is that?
Oh, it was in Latin, honey. All
Oh,
masses
oh my.
were in Latin.
Oh. Oh, did you
But
understand
it's,
it?
well, it's so much like Spanish.
Oh, so you kind of
A lot
understand.
of it.